many things affect your life as much as slow traffic and bad weather? Listen tomorrow morning for Traffic and Weather Together every 10 minutes on the 9s on KSL News Radio.
Cougar Nation, welcome back in here to your show, Cougar Nation. Sponsored by Central Bank here on KSL News Radio. Mitch Harper, Matt Baiamonte with you. If you miss any part of the show, subscribe to the podcast feed. Just search Cougar Nation wherever you get your podcast or go on the KSL Sports app. Check out Cougar Sports Saturday as well. We hold it down on the weekends, noon to 3 here on KSL. And, Matt, we've been asking the question for BYU basketball on the heels of this overtime loss to Utah, 73-72 at the Huntsman Center. Who needs to be the guy BYU turns to at the end of games? And this becomes a storyline because BYU on Saturday turned to Dawson Baker for one of the key shots down the stretch, which was probably the play you would point to and say that was the design play call. Yegor's last heave was, as Kevin Young pointed out, a broken play. Who do you think should be the go-to guy for BYU at the end of games?
It should be Dallin Hall, and we didn't see that again. And I'm just puzzled at why that keeps happening because, as we discussed at length on Cougar Sports Saturday, getting you ready for this rivalry game, Dallin Hall has been there, done that, and I like his decision-making. I thought his decision-making in this game was solid as well. And look, he only scored 2 points, and he's 0 of 5 from the field, and that's not very good. But then you look at what, when you think about a point guard, in a perfect world, you're getting all of it, right? But at the very minimum, can you run the offense, get other people looks? Against Utah, 4 assists, no turnovers. I liked it. You look at Yegor, 2-1. So it's not even close right now who is the better point guard in terms of decision-making. And I also think, too, this might be an unpopular opinion, but Dallin Hall can get to the rim better than Yegor right now. How many times did he drive in and then dump it off to Foose or Katie, the beautiful alley-oop to Keita? That was a highlight play that's just going to get forgotten because of the result of this game. I would love it to be Dallin Hall. I loved that Dawson Baker play, by the way. I think that was well executed. It didn't go. I thought there could have been a foul there. It looked very similar to what Hunter Erickson drew the previous time down where he got 2 free throws and gave Utah the lead. That those are the breaks sometimes in this crazy Big 12 physical game where the calls don't make a lot of sense some of the times. But I thought it was a quality look. I don't know if I would go to Dawson every single time. That's why I want it to be Dallin. But I did like that play from Baker, and it didn't work out. What about you, Mitch?
I would say probably Richie Saunders, just because he feels like the one guy that you can count on every single night as of late for this BYU team. And it was interesting, Richie Saunders had 10 points in that first half against Utah on only 6 shots. And even Craig Smith, Utah head coach, pointed out how good Richie Saunders was in that game on Saturday. And they pretty much zeroed in on him. And it just kind of highlighted how there is a bit of an adjustment for Richie now that he is atop the opponent's scouting report. That was a bit of a storyline going into the matchup, and you saw, that impact show itself in the second half in overtime. He finished with 16 points, 6 of 16 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. But, I think Richie Saunders is probably the guy because he feels like he's the most automatic, too, from the beyond the arc as of late. This BYU team's not shooting the ball well, and that's where I just feel really concerned with this group. Like, if they're losing games but still shooting the ball at a nice clip, I feel like they're going to turn the corner. And I think what's concerning for this team right now, Matt, is that Kevin Young has, made some changes to the lineups. He's made changes to the groupings, the rotations, yet nothing's working. And then you go, how many more, levers can he pull to make changes and get this right? It doesn't feel like there's a clear answer anymore, and that's why I would probably say Richie Saunders one, and then right behind him as far as go-to guys, probably Dallin Hall. And, but I'd go Richie because he feels like he's almost automatic, the way he's shooting the ball behind the three-point arc. Utah's just maybe given a little bit of a blueprint going forward how to defend him. They put so much effort into defending him in that second half, and you hope for BYU that that doesn't become the norm where it impacts the efficiency of Saunders on the offensive end because they need him going forward. So I'd say Richie, but it's still kind of a mystery right now.
My only concern with Richie in that role is I just don't know if that plays to his strengths. Is there a situation where, you get him the ball on the wing and you bring him a high pick and roll and you feel good about that? Maybe not. I think, to me, Richie is perfectly cast in his role right now, which is run the offense through Hall or Yegor, and then if it finds its way to Richie, which it often does, he pulls the trigger and buries a three, or then an action is run, it ends up with Richie, then he puts the ball on the floor and gets to the rim. I conceptually am having a hard time seeing, like, take that Baker play, for example. He did miss it, but if you ran that for Richie, would you get as good of a look? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, Dawson Baker's interesting, too, because throughout this whole entire season, Kevin Young has, always hinted at Dawson Baker being a guy that they could turn to late. I mean, he said that in non-conference play or even earlier this month when asked, and he pointed to Dawson. They have a lot of confidence in him, and you almost wonder if maybe that's another move they consider, is maybe putting a backcourt of him and Dallin Hall as the starting five. I think that's an interesting thought, too, is, because the top guy at the end of games is going to be critical for this team, but this group's got to get off to better starts, too. I thought the Utah game was okay, but still there's this slow start to games with that starting five for BYU, and it felt like the offensive efficiency turned up a bit when Dallin Hall, who's a ball-dominant guy, kind of took over. And, I think BYU, they put so much effort into kind of creating this scheme around Yegor Demon, and it's just right now they haven't made much progress, and it's not working, and time's ticking, and you got to start getting wins, and you maybe got to adjust on the fly.
Yegor, 9 points, 4 of 12. I like that he was aggressive, 6 rebounds. Yes. He did his part on the glass. The problem is his offense is so bad in terms of shooting the ball right now that you just don't have any confidence that it's going to go in. And I also feel like defenses are recognizing this, Mitch. Craig Smith noted how poorly Demon is shooting the ball, and that factored into their game plan, for heaven's sake. Yeah. So they have to find a way to use him better, and maybe that's less ball in his hands, more just if he gets it in the fast break, then go from there. But something is not right with Demon right now, and they got to figure it out quick.
They have to figure it out quick because time, like I said, is ticking on this BYU basketball team as they get ready for tomorrow night. They're going to be taking on the Colorado Buffaloes. We'll have a bit of a preview coming up a little bit later in this show. We got to take a timeout, though. On the other side, we'll get to more BYU basketball commentary about what's trending up and what's trending down with this BYU basketball team right here on KSL News Radio.